Alright, hi there guys. I think it's been a while since I've done one of these, and well, wait up, in case you noticed I was pulling my sound up, because I don't know if it's like too low. And I got some requests. I don't know why people watch it. It's like 5 or 6 people watch it, and then I get requested. I'm just like, yeah, sure, I'll do another one. So today we're going to talk about Dustin Dustin. I should have learned how to say his name. Uh, Nguyen, Nguyen, Nguyen. I'll just call him Dustin because that's the easiest one, right? So I got requested to do this one some time ago, and he's the artist for Descender, as I'm showing right now. I like his art, and it probably is what I'm thinking. It is most of the times. He's very colorful, and it's a lot of uh, watercoloring, not you know computer generated, or at least it doesn't look for some of his pieces. I will show you pieces where you can clearly tell there was like computer generated or at least mixed with it. But for example, this piece, it looks very much like just watercoloring sketch, which is something that I think we can all appreciate, the work that is put in this. And if this is not watercoloring, I would be very surprised. It can be some technique that I don't know how to operate, but honestly, it looks really good. And in this kind of comic, it just fits the comic itself. Because the Descender is, let me just get that out, yeah. Because the Descender is this very nice comic about a little boy who everything around him got destroyed, and he managed to stay alive inside of a capsule. And then he gets out and discovers that nobody else is there, and he's alone. So I'm not going to ruin anymore. That's just the beginning of the story. And I really like the art. It fits into the loneliness of the kid and the way that it's portrayed. It's a very light kind of art style. It's an art style that is colorful and yet not colorful enough for it to be, too bright for a story that is slightly dark. It's not a fully dark story. If you go listen to it if you go look at it, it's actually a really nice story. I enjoy it a lot. I haven't read the whole comics though, because I've been doing some stuff, reading some other comics, but I do have to catch up to it. And I got requested to talk about him and talk about his art. So I really like how he does it by hand. He draws really well. I've never seen him draw on a convention, but I think he was like one of those people that you would see in his booth just drawing something, and it would look the most amazing thing ever. Because most of the art that I found of him was, originals, and not really, the ones that you have computer generated. Because there's a lot of artists that I've talked about that their work is just computer generated work, and for him it's more like it's handmade and it's put into a comic, which is something that I would like to do. It's an art that comes from your heart, and I value that a lot in artists. So that is very important in this kind of art. As you see, once again, there is one issue, which is for this art, the colors are too light, or not bright enough, because it's watercoloring, not bright enough to where people expect them to be. Because for example, the Joker is recognized for really bright colors, colors that shine through the page, and that's not really what he does most of the time. It still fits in incredibly. Also, this page, as you can see, it's probably just a commission that he got or something like that to do on the spot. You can see that it's not fully prepared, but it is something that you look at it, you immediately know what's going on, and you gotta appreciate that. So I'm going to show you some more work. Once again, this confuses me a bit because I know this is not computer generated. If you went in closer on the picture, you would see that there are certain details that are not perfect enough to be computer generated. For example, the colors. The blacks are not full blacks, they are painted blacks. But at the same time, the whites, they're completely white. So there's a mix of it. I do believe that there's a mix of computer generated and not computer generated. In this kind of art, this art style I appreciate a lot. It's not realistic, it's not too, fantasy style, and besides, look at that, it's Batman. And now you can see that this is not watercoloring, or at least it doesn't really look like watercoloring, and you can tell it from how dark the colors get. Now I know that watercolors can get pretty dark and you can get perfect tones with them, but working with watercolors, it's really hard to get shades that are full, red. For example, if you look at Harley Quinn, her red is really hard to obtain with, watercoloring. I also still don't believe that this is not handmade. Here is why I think it is handmade. It's because if you still look at the colors, you will see some touches of like using it with a pen, touches that I usually also get, but at the same time you see like this watery feeling. It could be, using alcohol markers. At the same time, it could still be, another style. Like it could be a lot of things that I can think of, but not really, artificially made with a computer, which I really appreciate. Also, the proportions are great. You always hear me talking about proportions because I am a hater for wrong proportionate characters, and there's some issues that I have personally with this piece, which comes from Arlie's leg. Now I know that legs in that position are kind of hard to do, but seeing as he hits the leg on Poison Ivy perfectly, and then the leg on, Harley Quinn looks weird, it just troubles my eyes on how exactly to look at it. Still, it is a great piece. Since we got a lot of pieces, I'm just going to try to move on. So, I'm doing like 2 minutes a piece. I'm not taking a lot of time. I'm sorry. He is an artist that has worked for quite a bit of time, and so there's a lot to discuss about him. Now, in this piece, this is where we get to the point where you are probably going to think this can be computer generated. I'm just like, yeah, this one, I believe in you. So this one looks way more computer generated than the past ones, and still I couldn't tell you because I am not Dustin, and I have never talked to him, I've never met him, so I don't get to, I don't get to question if he does it all by hand or not, but I don't think he does. This looks way more computer generated for the reason that filling colors like this on top of each other, if you had to do it by hand, first of all, you have to be extremely precise. Second of all, the page needs to be at least an A3. And I think maybe an A3 you could do it, but it's still really hard to hit some of the details in this picture. For example, on Batman, right above him in Joker, you can see, above his head a little bit of the Joker's jacket collar, and then you can see this fine line of the inside, the shirt that Joker has. You probably don't really notice it. I'll try to get the picture. Alright, here we go. So if you notice in the middle of Batman's hair there's a white line there, and that white line comes from, I don't really know how English people call it. I don't know if it's a collar, I don't know if it's a shirt, but the Joker uses something on the inside, and it could be that, or it could be just on the other side, as it shows, the shine from the jacket. Now, what can confuse you to think that this is watercoloring or this is markers is the shades on, the tones that he is using. Now, why do I say it's the shades? Because the shading is so well put together that it kind of looks like it's handmade. And maybe it is. I might be wrong, okay? But I'm like trying to find out a place where I can show you. Right, now Poison Ivy. Okay, if you look at her hair and if you look at the suit she's wearing, you will see again what looks like water markings. Water markings come from anything like alcohol or, watercolors, but still it could just be done by computer. Computers have this great thing called technology to use almost anything to do coloring on comic books. And I personally don't know if that is possible, if you can do it like that. Also, one thing that also drives me off in this art is that there's some little things in it that should be colored but are not. So I'm like taken to think that this is, well, how do I say it? That this is made by hand, and and yeah, that's it for this piece. Going over to this one, look at that. I don't know how he put so much detail into it. I think it's absolutely amazing. The main character is mainly the focus, and you can see that by the coloring that she has. The colors and versus what's behind her. I like the shades that she has, like darker reds, and behind her there's lighter reds, and the details that he doesn't need to put, and then like the little things that he still does put. For example, you don't need to put the details on the building to the right, okay? Like the building with the 4 small details, you didn't need to put them. For example, you might complain that the building to the left, there's some things on there that, he didn't really make them clear behind her, he didn't really make them clear, he could have put more details, but no, that is just perfect as it is. It's very detailed, actually, because it's really hard to put people in the back and still make them look like people, especially if you're using just black and white and you're not intending to do their face. Putting them like that is just amazing. And the front of the building that she is in right now, the gargoyle on the side, it's all incredibly well done and well put together. Moving on. Ooh, a colorful scene. Yes, so as talked before, he might have done this with watercoloring. It looks a lot like watercoloring because watercolors can do this. At the same time, could be just computers, because computers nowadays are almost better than anything. Once again, Batgirl, and what I really want to talk about this, and why I really put it here, is because she's still the main focus. Even if you put this character on a bright scenario in the back with a lot of coloring, he still makes her the main focus. And how does he do that? Again, the main colors, the colors of focus, the hard colors are on the character, and the colors behind, they're lighter, they still are bright, but they're very at the back, so that you focus on what is important. And that is, something that's really good. Again, I want to talk about proportions one more time because he fits it all in perfectly. Even now the leg, for me, looks better than Harley's. It is proportionate, it is well done, it's very looked after, and I liked it a lot. Now, because I needed to put this, moving on to, uh, you know, we just got out of the DC zone and Image was first. And I think I will be showing you some other stuff and obviously the red hairs because I need to show you this. I couldn't do it without showing you guys. Look at all of them. Now, clearly, you are going to focus your eyes on some, not on others, and this is not 100% safe to look at, is it? I'm kidding. No, it is. They're not undressed, and and I really like all of them. There are some issues that I have with like two or three faces. So two of the faces. But still, it was Jean Grey's face, and I think that's Batgirl's face. So I just I don't like how he did them. I like, for example, let's say Batwoman's face or Mystic's face better, but still, great. It looks really good, and you focus on every character. But the main asset, in case you realized, because you probably are looking at the picture right now, and you can focus. You see it, don't you? It's the hair. The hair is the main focus. And why do I say this? It's not the brightest color, it's not the most important color in this picture, but it's the color that you look at the picture and the first thing that pops in your mind is orange, red, and then you go to yellow because most of the characters have this yellowish color. And it brings you a lot into that mindset, and then you realize, oh, that's their hair, they're all like that. And then you look into other things, who are they and what are they looking at, what are they wearing, this and that. And I think that's one of the things that he's great at doing. Now, I found this piece, I don't remember, I think it was looking up his name, and then I scrolled down and down and down, and I found this and I thought it was really cool, so I decided to include it. So here's Hellboy holding Hellboy's head. It's really well done. I like it a lot. Once again, not exactly finished work. Doesn't have the look for it. Especially with his arm, and as you can see on the side of his hand, the one holding the head, you have a mark, and on the jacket you have another mark. But it happens. I think that in this part he colored before he did the pens. That's why it has that. Maybe he did a mistake and he was like, oh well, who cares. But it also could have just been that he meant to do that. I don't think it is, but it could just be. Oh yeah, and I had these little things. So he did some of these, and I wanted to show them because I think they are cool. I hate this art, this style. I'm sorry about that. I'm very much realistic, like I've always said. But you have Zatanna in there, so that's something that I appreciate. If you don't know who Zatanna is, above Batman, in front of Batwoman, I believe, even though I'm used to having the Batwoman with red hair. You can still see the amount of detail in this. I appreciate details, I appreciate proportions and everything, and even though I don't like the style, this is a style that I could see in, like, jokingly let's say Joker comic. It could be something like that, joking in a like Happy New Year's Joker. He did one for Marvel, so that was DC. This is Marvel. Look at that. Look how cute they are. The Punisher looks really, really cool. I like it a lot. It's very, very funny. Let me see. Well, there's so much to look at in this one, because in this one there's one thing. Everybody is important. And so, like, in the front you have everything like Spider-Man, and then you have, every villain that, they fight. So it's really cool. It's just a bunch of villains and like two okay people, except that one of them is not very cool. It's pretty much just yeah, it's not really Marvel. It's a Spidey page. Like last page was a Batman page, and now let's move on to this one because yes, all this time just to look at this one. Oh man, where do I start? The weirdest of the weird. What am I looking at? Well, I don't know either. Um, I don't remember how I found this, but I think I just thought, wow, this looks cool and weird. So here we go into the. Is this watercoloring? And the answer is yes. I still think it is watercoloring. There are some color mistakes in it, or maybe they're just meant to be there, but it doesn't really look like they would be meant to be there, but it still could be. Um, I like the characters. I like how they're some of them, the women, uh, except for two of them, look really pretty. The black-haired ones. That's the best way to explain it. I don't know if that thing on the side is a woman or not. Um, the other thing with the black hair, besides the woman on the right. But I really like this piece in general, and I don't know where this is from, so if anybody knows, leave it in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I have some fun doing this, and since you asked me to do some more stuff, here you go. That's what I have to talk about, Dustin, and I hope you enjoyed and you had some fun.